I would like to know, what would you say to those fans that are feeling like having doubts or hesitating about the show?
We thought the war, at last, was ended.
Well, thank you guys for having me. It's such a pleasure talking to you. So my first question is for all of you. If you had the chance, if you would have had the chance to speak directly to Tolkien, what would you have asked him about anything you could have asked him?
I think I would have thanked him. Thanks so much for creating something so vast, so timeless, so epic, so relatable. I'd ask him some intricate questions too, but I can ask the showrunners that. But yeah, I just thank him for something that is endless, just endless possibilities of story and escape and excitement and informative and inspiration, and yeah, that's what I'd say.
Awesome.
But I'd like to ask him and C.S. Eliot, C.S. Lewis, sorry, T.S. Eliot, C.S. Lewis. Who do they think won? Because they had a competition, and that's what I'd like to know.
All right.
I wouldn't want to talk to him.
You wouldn't?
No.
Why?
Well, because his art, it works and it transcends him.
Okay.
You know, because he's an individual and a brilliant one for sure. But maybe in retrospect, he would say, you know, I always hated the elves, and then that really hurt my feelings. And also, he's going to be so confused. He's like, what is a screen? And what is how?
What are you guys doing?
Yeah, what is a streaming service? This makes zero sense. Yeah. I just leave him where he is and celebrate and respect his work. We're lucky that, I mean, that's the beauty of what we do, is that what we create lives on beyond us. And as great as we might have been at the time, we're not that great.
Okay.
I'd have so many questions to ask him. I think mine would be about Elvish and the language and kind of what inspired him. And I find that just a hobby he had of this fairy language that turned into Elvish turned into this, the whole of Middle Earth. So wonderful. So I think, yeah, it would be that first bit.
Okay, and now that since you answered this first question, I wanted to ask you, which were your first impressions when you first saw your character Galadriel, but in the trilogy? What did you think of her? And if you took any of Cate Blanchett's performance for your character, or you went all the way with the spirit of Galadriel from the books?
I was very inspired by the films from when I was 11. So I don't think there was ever an option of kind of starting anew without them being a huge influence on me.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Fellowship of the Ring, when you first meet Arwen and when you first meet Galadriel, are just such cool cinematic moments. And yeah, the thing I was thinking about a lot was like, she's younger, but she's not young. And how do you find something that makes sense for that when you're playing someone immortal who's already thousands of years old? And Galadriel talks about how with wisdom there's a loss of innocence, and that was a really nice way in for me.
And Sofia, I was at Comic-Con and you said something really beautiful about being the first female dwarf, and how this meant so much for you and how this will mean so much for generations to come and for the audience right now. So can you share a little bit with me about this feeling you have for my audience?
Yeah, I just feel that it's the beginning of a new narrative and a new accessibility into the world of Tolkien and the fantasy world, because I was around with a lot of fantasy worlds that have been before us. So, and I love it, and I think it's great. But I could only go so far because I couldn't see myself staring back at me in anyone, in anything. Maybe traits, but it's nice to have a visual perspective. It's nice for maybe kids to, I don't know, dress up as Zeus for Halloween and say, you know. So I feel like the accessibility, particularly because underneath building a character of this magnitude and of this moment, I was a first-time mum with a very, very young baby. And so I had to wire in parenthood and being a warrior for my daughter into being a warrior united with this wonderful man throughout the process. And so it was just so many world of firsts, and what this means is that the next generations will be able to look at this and immerse themselves in a way that we have never been able to do before.
That's amazing, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And
Beyond the darkness, tempting shadow, to bury us all beneath the mountain.
I mean, you took the job, you were already into the series, but can you remember the first time where you were like on set and you look around and said like, okay, this is really happening? Did you have like that moment?
I definitely did, yeah. Well, it was I think it was like the second week of shooting. And I was just kind of stood waiting for the camera crew to move the sets, move the cameras, and Rob Arameo was stood in the middle on a box, who plays Elrond. And surrounding him were like 50 or 60 essays dressed up as dwarves. And I just kind of looked from the outside and thought, this is normal. And then I go, that was the moment where I felt like, oh my God, I'm in Lord of the Rings, and I'll never forget that. And it gave me butterflies in my stomach to kind of, where I had to pinch myself, basically.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was.
I think mine was my first day where we were filming bits in the snow. And they just filled a studio with snow, but there was no screens or anything. And often the crew were kind of like little borrowers that you say cut and suddenly they appear. But on this day, you could see all of them. And so there was about 150 people in that room. And that's when I was like, oh, this is very big. And also that everybody here has been working on it for months already. So it was feeling part of something huge was really, it was a lot. In a good way.
There were some fans, probably when they see the series they will change their mind, but there were some fans hesitating about how this series will continue the legacy of Tolkien. I would like to know, what would you say to those fans that are feeling like having doubts or hesitating about the show?
Well, I mean, that we are fans. I don't really see in us and them. We're certainly showing it the love and respect that it deserves, but I can relate to it. I loved the books, and then when I went to see the Peter Jackson films, I thought, they're gonna screw this up. They're just gonna screw it up. Why did they even bother? And then it changed me. It allowed me to have my own experience of the text and also for it to exist in this screen format. And Tolkien's legendarium is dense enough and intricate enough and beautiful enough for many, many iterations of it to stand alone and survive long past ours. I don't think we'll be the last. As long as what we've done and what we enjoy doing, we reinvest in the source material. It's like the Bible in that sense. Every time you read it, you see something new. You can revisit it, you can reinterpret it. And there's room at the Tolkien table for everyone.
And finally, I mean, the fans had a lot of questions, but did you have like a particular question for your character that you asked to the screenwriter or the showrunner, like, I really need to know this about my character? Was there something like specific?
Just many, many things. I mean, whenever you're playing a character, you become so boring as an actor because all you think about is them. Yeah. And all you want to talk about is them. So I think the showrunners were just bombarded with endless questions from all of us.
They were trying to avoid us.
Yeah.
Sure.
You kind of go, gee.
Here comes Owain again.
They were running away from you.
Yeah, I think you, like Morfith is saying, like, just everything from what is her position, what is her arc, what is her purpose, what is her purpose, why is she here, to what do you think she ate? Who's her mum? Who's that? You know what I mean? Like, you know, and everything in between. So it was just a multitude of questions that, I think sent them spinning. Imagine like a herd of actors going.
But to their credit, 9 times out of 10 they had the answer.
That's it. And were really excited to hear what we would have thought about that as well. And that's, I think, the excitement about seeing these incredible characters and why they are so immersed. The actors are so immersed in them. There's no one else to play them, because JD and Patrick did such a wonderful job of opening their doors to our ideas and making the shoe fit our feet, metaphorically.
Theo
and literally
Park,
speaking.
who cast who cast it, like lots of us aren't known. Lots of us have worked a lot, but not on TV or film. And she really did like look everywhere. And also there was kind of, my breakdown of my character was that they wanted an actor who had experience with Shakespeare, because the elves' language is written in a certain rhythm that they wanted to explore. So there was such detail from the very first parts of casting, which was really cool.
Well, thank you so much, and welcome to Mexico again. I hope you can come anytime you want again.
Yeah, great.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.